So we have the blue-white deck here. It's made for the more advanced player of the two. So after the red-green players when playing, they can switch decks. This deck is supposed to be played by the teacher because it's more of a sit back and do nothing deck while the red-green player learns how to play. But by no means is it not a deck that setup can't be for two new players. So for starters, we have an equal amount of plains and islands almost. Utility lands include Nomad Stadium and Cephala Coliseum, Coastal Tower for mana fixing, and a lone Skycloud Expanse. For turn 1, we have the options of Soul Warden and Unsummon. Unsummon does not have to be played turn 1, and it probably will not be played, but it always has the option to help gain early board control, which will hurt the red-green player. Turn 2 is where the deck really needs to get going in gas. So we have the creature form of Thought Courier, Master Decoy, Stormfront Pegasus. And if you're holding it, the Pegasus is the right play most of the time, but the Master Decoy is the second best. If you are holding at least one of the several draw spells, you will not need to play the Thought Courier, but if you're holding some of the more high casting cost cards, you will need to play the Thought Courier first. Turn 2 also opens us up to the removal effects in the form of counter magic, and basically these both read counter target spell against the red-green deck, especially the flash freeze, but by no means is it a game ender. Turn 3 we start to have a couple of different options here. We have Exhaustion, Devouring Light, and Console of the Sword of Tommy. Yes, I chose the console over the divination. I prefer the Moonfolk idea. Devouring Light, obviously the harder of the three different kinds to cast, so you're probably not going to be able to play it, but hopefully with the mana fixing in here it won't be too difficult. It gives the player a couple of different ways of thinking now. He has to consider the opponent's next turn on both of these options. Are they going to attack for more damage than he thinks? Because if he played the red-green deck previously, he might be scared of that giant growth. Or is he just going to remove the big fat attacker anyways? So it gives him a couple different options. The right move is probably the Exhaustion on turn 3, but you don't have to play it obviously. Now so many 2-drops, you really don't have to worry too much about a turn 3 play. And then, yeah, you always have the Console of the Sword Tommy option if you choose not to wait. So 3 different options on turn 3. Turn 4, we open ourselves up to some more card draw in the form of Inspiration and another guy in the form of Razorfoot Griffin. This gives the player another option. If he doesn't have the Thought Courier, he may need to consider the opponent's play again and consider playing the Inspiration on the end of turn step, or just get another guy into the air with First Strike to help control the board. And as mentioned in the other video, the deck doesn't have a creature of power or a toughness 4 or greater except for 2, and they have the Seismic Strike to deal with that angel coming up. Turn 5 we have Sarah Angel and Angel of Mercy, which you may or may not want to use the Unsummon on. And it's a keynote that I leave up to the player to decide if they want to gain more life later in the form of creature bounce on their own guys. A trick that I wish would have been taught to me when I started learning how to play. Sarah Angel obviously being an MVP in the deck, but by no means required to win the game with. And then a little bit of evil that happens on turn 5 as well is Mind Control. Now up until this point, this is a very rareless deck, except in the form of Skycloud Expanse. But Mind Control is very unfair against the red-green deck, as they have no way of dealing with the enchantment. So it gives blue exactly what they want for no drawback, or fear of drawback. So if you didn't watch the red-green video before this, please go take a look. These are the starter decks I use to teach new players how to play. It's been updated for 2010. And so far it's had pretty good success. I've cut some of the lands and added a couple of ideas in the form of Soul Warden and Stormfront Pegasus, but the general idea of it hasn't changed. I can take it anywhere I go. I usually like to keep this one in my car with me just in case. And I keep it in a small deck box, just big enough to hold 2 decks. No die, but I prefer a coin flip to a die because for determining who goes first, because it's a little more less complicated, especially to a new player. So If you guys have any other ideas on what I can do to tune the deck for new players, or have built starter decks of your own, please leave a video response or a normal text message linking me to it.